when addressing this question of how does the near-death experience pave the way for the shared death experience, I'm kind of the classic person here. I had my first near-death experience in 1979, and it was a high-speed skiing accident. It was a classic NDE, as we say, catapulted out of my body on impact, saw my life pass before me, sailed through a beautiful universe. Then I saw that luminous light, and I grew up Catholic, so I looked at that light and I said, that's God. And I said, God, I don't want to die, which is a very, as Raymond and I from the research, most people who go into this state in the near-death experience, we don't typically want to come back. But for me, I had this sense that I wasn't done with this life. And I actually pled with that light, God, to say, let me come back. And so, here I am, I came back. I didn't think about that experience at all. Unfortunately, it was 1979. Raymond's book was out, but it wasn't in my culture. It wasn't, I just kind of grew up in a culture that wasn't, making space for these. So I would have one more near-death experience in an ICU where I just had a blood imbalance, idiopathic thrombocytopenia, and was floating above my body for a number of hours. And I was very clear at this point. I was close to death, but I was clear in that experience that I was not my body. And this was a key learning for me that, oh my gosh, whatever I identify as me, myself, and I is not me. It's not that physical body. So when I started hearing about these experiences as a social worker in the Tenderloin of San Francisco during what we now call the AIDS crisis, it was when HIV was spilling out of control, and a lot of gay men in particular were dying of this horrific disease, I was having clients come to me and say things like, I was at my partner's death, and at that moment, I saw him travel up a cylinder of light, and he looked back at me and said, I love you. Thank you for caring for me. Well, as a social worker and mental health professional, as Raymond knows, we weren't trained in this. So I didn't have any kind of support or lexicon to say this is this type of experience and it's healthy and normal. But because of my experiences, my near-death experiences, I was instantly receptive and curious and supportive. So for me, the near-death experiences, for me personally, paved the way for me as a clinician to be welcoming, accepting, and knowledgeable about the shared death experience. Later, I worked in hospice and would have many experiences personally and with others who would have these. And because of my near-death experiences, I knew they were normal.